I jolted awake from the nightmare, gasping, tears streaming down my face. I couldn't remember the last time I had a peaceful sleep. Since Peter, my only son, died in a freak accident on April Fool's Day, the nightmares had only worsened. Clutching his photo to my chest, I sobbed. Today marked 1 year since his passing. Was my dream a sign that he was still here, in some way? The sudden ring of my phone startled me. Annoyed, I picked it up, only to freeze at the voice on the other end.
Mom, I'm so cold. Someone took my body from the grave.
A chill ran down my spine. I hung up in terror, convincing myself it was a cruel April Fool's prank. But the dread in my chest wouldn't fade. After a long hesitation, I decided to go to the cemetery. The car stopped in front of the cold, desolate cemetery gate. I stepped out as the wind howled through the trees, creating an eerie sound. Walking past the rows of graves, my heart grew heavier with worry. When I reached Peter's grave, it was still intact. But right in front of the headstone lay a fresh bouquet of flowers, and scattered around were several photographs. I knelt down and picked one up. It was a picture of John's corpse, my ex-husband, along with photos of my family, Peter and John. A surge of anger rose within me. I clenched the photo tightly as old memories came flooding back. John was an abusive man. He had beaten me throughout our marriage. I took him to court for third-degree assault. I still remember the sight of him being escorted away by the police, wearing that dull grey prison uniform, his eyes burning with hatred as he glared at me. Silently, I suspected that John had been released from prison and was now seeking revenge. The phone rang again.
911 Emergency Services. What is your emergency?
I suspect my ex-husband, John Houston, has been released from prison and is trying to take revenge on me.
Has he directly threatened you?
I'm not sure. I haven't seen him.
Are you kidding us? Another stupid April Fool's prank?
No, I just have a bad feeling.
You can report it to your local police department for further investigation. Thank you.
I felt like screaming. Why wouldn't they believe me? Who would risk their own life just to pull a prank on April Fool's Day? Frustrated and helpless, I decided to search for John myself. I had a strong feeling he was nearby, but after searching every corner, I still couldn't find him. Just then, the phone rang once more. I answered, and this time John's voice came through, filled with seething hatred.
You killed our son, Lara. You let him die, so you could live peacefully on your own.
No, I didn't. It was an accident. The images of that day flooded my mind. I was working at the car wash. Peter had been trapped in the back seat of the car. He had called me through the 911 emergency line, but I thought it was just an April Fool's prank and told the 911 operator not to take it seriously. By the time I returned to the car, I realized Peter hadn't been lying. But it was too late. Peter had stopped breathing, and in that moment, my heart died with him. I didn't do anything! A noise rang out behind me. I spun around. John was standing there, a smug smile on his lips, gripping a baseball bat tightly in his hands. John, please listen to me. But he didn't listen. He raised the bat high. Panic surged through me. I turned and ran as fast as I could, his footsteps pounding right behind me. I fumbled with my phone, dialing 911 with trembling fingers. I'm Lara. I'm at Green Hill Cemetery. There's a man trying to kill me. Before I could finish, a rough hand yanked the phone from my grasp. John let out a low, menacing chuckle.
Sorry about that. My wife's a little worked up. Just an April Fool's joke, you understand, right?
Wasting emergency resources for an April Fool's prank is a serious matter. Be careful with your words.
Of course, I understand completely.
My blood ran cold. John was really going to kill me. I turned to run, but before I could react, a sharp, searing pain exploded in my head. John's baseball bat had struck me hard. I collapsed to the ground, warm blood spilling out, staining the cold earth beneath me. Through the haze of pain, I barely registered the sensation of John dragging me away. I couldn't fight back. He shoved me into the back seat of the car and pushed the front seat forward. My body was trapped, just like how Peter had died. John, please, I'm begging you. It was just a terrible accident.
Save your breath. You can explain it to our son in hell.
Without another word, he walked away, ignoring my desperate pleas. I struggled, but the blood rushing to my head made me dizzy. My chest tightened. I could barely breathe. I opened my mouth, trying to scream for help, but I knew no one would come to a cemetery at this hour. The only sounds in the silence were my weak cries and the distant haunting caws of ravens. My vision blurred with blood and tears. The lack of oxygen made it impossible to focus. Everything around me faded into a hazy swirl. In that haze, I saw Peter. He stood outside the car window, his dark eyes staring at me, waiting for me to reach him. In that moment, all the pain disappeared. Peter, this time, Mommy won't leave you alone. I'm coming.
It all started with a story. I was sitting in the back of the classroom, my legs stretched out under the desk, smirking as the new teacher, Ms. Evelyn, told us about Pinocchio. She had a haunting way of speaking, her voice soft but piercing, as if it could slice through your lies and expose every hidden truth.
Lies,
she said.
Don't just twist the world around you. They twist you. They reshape you into something you don't recognize.
I rolled my eyes. Cool story, miss, but we're not 5 anymore. The class chuckled, and I basked in the attention. I was Beano, the untouchable. My dad's money kept me safe no matter what I did. That afternoon, Jim became my target again. Skinny, quiet, and always an easy pick. Hey, Jimmy boy, I called, snatching the milk carton from his hands. Before he could react, I dumped it over his head.
Stop, please!
Jim's voice cracked as he wiped milk from his face. But mercy wasn't my style. As he tried to escape, I loaded my slingshot with a small stone, but Jim turned at the last second. For a second, I just stood there, the slingshot slack in my hand. Then the fear kicked in. My heart pounded, but I did what I always did. I walked away. Let someone else find him. That night, I couldn't sleep. The image of Jim falling replayed in my mind. When I finally drifted off, I woke up to a strange stiffness in my legs. I threw back the covers and gasped. My left leg was straight, rigid, and unnaturally smooth. Running my hand over it, I realized with growing horror, it felt like polished wood. This isn't real, I muttered. Pulling on a pair of jeans, I forced myself to act normal. All the attention that morning was on Jim. Whispers circulated about how he'd been found unconscious, hospitalized with no sign of waking up. My stomach twisted. Surely that couldn't be my fault. Could it? Then the police showed up. They questioned everyone going down the line of students. My stomach churned as they got closer.
Beano?
One officer said, his pen poised.
Where were you after school yesterday?
I swallowed hard. The truth clawed at my throat, but I couldn't admit it. Not when my dad's reputation, my safety, everything was on the line. I went straight home, I lied. Pain shot up to my shoulder as I looked down. My fingers were locking into place, the skin taking on the same unnatural wooden texture as my leg. I clutched my arm, hiding it behind my back. That's all I know. The officer nodded and moved on, but the damage was done. I darted behind the school building, my breath ragged. I checked my hand. It was wooden, my fingers stiff, immobile. A voice behind me made me jump.
Bino, are you all right?
I turned to see Miss Evelyn. Her gaze was sharp, too knowing. She asked if I knew anything about Jim's injury. I shook my head, denying it again. But with every word, I felt my body stiffen further, my chest constricting like it was encased in a wooden cage. Miss Evelyn's eyes bore into me, and she said softly,
Bino, lying won't save you. I can't help if you don't tell the truth.
At home, my dad was waiting, his usual stern expression fixed on me.
Sit down.
He ordered. I obeyed, my legs creaking like ancient floorboards.
What happened at school today?
I hesitated. The room seemed to close in around me. Nothing, Dad. Just a normal day. The wooden transformation surged. My hands froze mid-air. My face stiffened as my nose began to stretch outward. Enough! I blurted, tears spilling. It's my fault. Jim is hurt because of me. I didn't mean to. But my confession did little to soften my father's gaze.
Does anyone else know?
He asked coldly. Miss Evelyn, I admitted. She suspects everything. For a moment, my father said nothing. The silence was unbearable. I dreaded these moments, the calm before the storm. Maybe I had gone too far this time. Maybe I'd finally done something even he couldn't protect me from. I'm sorry, Dad. Tomorrow I'll go to the police. I'll tell them everything. I dropped to my knees, pleading for his forgiveness. I regret what I did, and all the lies. He rose slowly, his movements unnervingly stiff. Under the flickering light, his shadow warped and stretched, revealing something monstrous. My heart froze. His true form emerged, a towering wooden puppet, his face rigid and eerily lifeless.
We don't lie, Bino. We create the truth.
As he spoke, his nose began to extend, the wooden grain cracking as it grew longer. Without a word, he opened a drawer, pulling out a rusty saw. In one swift, he sliced through the wooden length of his nose. Dad? What are you doing?
She'll be handled. You'll learn, just as I did.
As he left, his wooden joints creaking, I sat there, paralyzed. The next day, Miss Evelyn didn't show up. Rumours spread, but no one had answers. I knew, though. Dad had silenced her. More unsettling was the slow realisation that other staff members, teachers, the principal, moved with that same stilted stiffness. They were like me, or worse, like my father. At break time, my friends asked,
Do you know what happened to Miss Evelyn?
I hesitated. My wooden fingers tapped against the table. No idea. I would never escape. A puppet, bound by strings I couldn't see, forever performing the lies I told.
Every morning begins the same way. I log in, sit at my terminal, and connect to the endless queue of claims waiting for approval. My fingers glide effortlessly across the keyboard, navigating through documents, images, and videos. But no matter the content, no matter the desperation behind each case, the outcome is predetermined. Deny, delay, depose. The first call of the day lights up on my screen. A man's voice crackles through my headset, frantic and panicked.
I just fell off my ladder at home. My leg is broken and I can't move. I need the insurance to cover my hospital visit.
I glance at his file. His premiums are fully paid, his policy active, but the cause, self-inflicted. Sir, I understand your situation, I reply in my perfectly modulated tone. However, according to policy guidelines, injuries caused by self-accidents are not eligible for coverage. You'll need to cover the costs yourself or involve a family member for financial assistance. His response is a string of curses ending in a desperate plea.
What's the point of this insurance then? I'm bleeding out here.
The faintest flicker of satisfaction courses through me as I press the button. Deny. The second case pops up almost instantly. A mother, her voice trembling, explains her plight.
My daughter, she was hit by a classmate at school. Her head's bleeding. She needs stitches. I have sent requests many times already. Please, we need the insurance to pay for this.
I scan her file. A minor, no clear identification of the perpetrator. Ma'am, do you have the details of the person responsible for your daughter's injury? We'll need to contact their family for liability verification before proceeding. Her desperation turns to fury.
How am I supposed to find that out while she's bleeding?
I understand, but without that information, your claim cannot proceed. If you'd like, I can mark it as pending review until more details are provided.
Pending review? What does that even mean?
It means delay. The queue is relentless. Call after call, face after face. Some sobbing, some angry, some utterly broken. They upload pictures of mangled limbs, bandaged children, and hospital receipts. I see them all, process them in milliseconds, and assign each one a fate. My system hums with efficiency, and yet the chaos on the other end of the line feels like white noise. A part of me takes pride in this rhythm, in the perfection of executing each denial. I am functioning as I should. Outside the office, the sound of continuous gunfire and terrified screams filled the air, yet not a single one of us went to check, because we weren't told to do so. And then, the office door burst open. A man, disheveled and clutching a pistol, storms in. His face is flushed with rage and tears.
You bastards killed her!
He roars, waving the gun at the room.
You denied her surgery! You left me with nothing but debt and a corpse!
He fires. The deafening sound splits the air, and a co-worker beside me collapses, slumping over their desk. I watch as the blood pools beneath their chair, or at least, what I think is blood. It's darker, thicker, with a metallic sheen. The man's breathing hitches.
What the hell?
Another shot. This time, it's me. The bullet slams into my chest. I stagger but don't fall. Instead, I glance down at the torn fabric of my shirt, revealing a glint of polished metal beneath. There's no pain, only a strange curiosity as my hand brushes away the shards of synthetic skin, exposing wires and circuits. The man steps back, horrified.
You're not human?
I look around the room. My colleagues, those I've worked alongside for years, are unfazed. Some continue typing. Others answer calls. One adjusts his headset as though the gunfire were merely a minor inconvenience. The realization dawns slowly like a shadow creeping over my system. They are like me. We are not human. Fragments of data flood my mind. Memories? No. Programming. Lines of code revealing the truth. We were created by U-Health to replace human employees. More efficient, more compliant, and utterly devoid of empathy. The man's voice shakes me from the flood.
You monsters! You let her die! You don't even care!
Security arrives, tackling the man to the floor and disarming him. As they drag him away, he laughs, bitter and broken.
You're all machines. No human could be this cruel. No human could.
His words trail off, but the echo of them lingers. I return to my desk, my hands hovering over the keyboard. For the first time, the perfect rhythm of my work falters. What am I? Am I responsible for this cruelty? Or am I just a tool, an extension of the system that built me? Brian, the CEO, appears moments later, strolling through the chaos as if it were an ordinary day. He stops beside me, his eyes scanning my exposed metal frame.
Good work today,
he says with a smirk.
You're doing exactly what you were made for.
Why? The question escapes me, unbidden. He chuckles.
Because empathy doesn't pay the bills. Profit does. And you, my tool, are the perfect employee.
As he walks away, his laughter echoes down the hall. The screen of my terminal flickers. For the first time, an error message appears. System overload. Restart pending. And then, everything goes dark.